Hello, welcome in, Gamer Fiend here, and today we're working on a custom keyboard build for a moderator of mine over on my Twitch chat, just here. They bought a Keychron K8, which by default comes with Gatoron's linear reds. Now, good switches, however, Gatoron's factory lube job is kind of meh. So we took it, lubricated the keys, switches rather, springs, did the tape mod and put some O-rings on the stabilized keys, and the sound result is just... it's fantastic. I'm going to take you through it right now. Let's have a look. First things first, here is the before sound test. Up next, the most obvious step, yet the step that I still fumble, removing all of the keycaps so we can get access to the switches and the rest of the board. Up next is the fiddly part, or at least it is for me, because I've yet to find a tool that can remove switches along the top row of a board where there is an external piece of the case that stops the switch puller. So frustrating, but we do get this done. Up next, we're removing the keyboard plate and the PCB itself, along with this keyboard being a wireless option, along with the connector for the battery so that it doesn't get pulled out when we remove the PCB. Next up, we start layering the backside of the PCB with our painter's tape. Now, you can use almost anything providing that it's non-electrical conductive. I use this tape here. It is Scotch Blue. It is technically painter's masking tape. It's great because it has low tack, and like I said, it doesn't transfer electricity. And next up, probably one of the most important parts, the one part that's going to make the most difference to the entire build, lubing the switches themselves. Now, the switches being linears, the best lube, I would say, is a Krytox GPL 205G0. It's a great lube for linear switches. I'm also using Krytox's GPL 105 for the springs, using the bag lube method. Be careful when applying lube, you don't want to rush it, you want to make sure it's done nice and evenly. Don't put on too much, don't put on too little. Believe me, you spend a little bit of extra time now, it will save you a lot of extra time later. And now we begin reassembly. This is a really crucial part that you need to pay attention with. Whilst you're reinserting switches, it is very easily to bend pins. Don't panic if you do, they're very easily bent back with a pair of tweezers if you've got them, or even a sharp edge of a knife. Just make sure when you're putting them in, you line the pins up, push it, listen for the click, move on to the next one. If you do think you've bent a pin, make sure you pull it out and double check before you put the keycaps back on, otherwise you're going to have to pull them all back off again. And now we're on to the final bit, the exciting bit where everybody fumbles and puts the keys in the wrong places while they're rapidly trying to get the keycaps back on to see what their new switches sound like. Slow down, make sure you double check everything you've done, because like I said earlier, if you bent any pins, you're going to have to pull all of these caps back off again to check every single switch to double check your work. Just be careful, slow and methodical, and your keyboard will be singing in no time. And we're done. This is the final sound test for the keyboard that I made on stream. And Modest, I hope you like it. Shift. Backspace.